Good morning. I'd like to welcome everyone for our Committee of the Whole meeting. We've got several presentations today, and we'll go ahead and begin our meetings. Today is Tuesday, April the 12th, and we're a few minutes late, so now it's 9:05. We're going to begin our meeting with some presentations today, and the first presentation we'll be having will be from the Family Justice Center. So we ask anyone involved in that presentation to please come up to the front. If you don't mind speaking to that microphone, let us know who you are so the folks at home could hear you. Otherwise, they'll be posting a bunch of comments that they cannot hear you, and we'll have to respond to them.
Of course. I'm Sarah Shank. I'm the site coordinator for One Safe Place Macon, Macon-Bibb's Family Justice Center. All right, we got our presentation up. All right, thank you so much for having me here this morning and giving me the opportunity to speak with you and give you an update on One Safe Place Macon. I know we've had the opportunity to talk before about the Family Justice Center, but it's been a while, so I'm excited to tell you more about the progress we've made and what's coming up for us. But I just wanted to start by giving you a brief recap of what the Family Justice Center is and also to educate those who are on the live stream, and then we'll dive in a little bit more. You'll hear me today interchange One Safe Place Macon and Family Justice Center. In January, we announced our official name as One Safe Place Macon. That was a name that was collaboratively decided by our community partners with feedback from survivors. And so One Safe Place Macon is who we are, and a Family Justice Center is what we are. And a Family Justice Center is a center that serves victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, child abuse, elder independent adult abuse, and human trafficking all under one roof. We've got great services here in Macon. We know that, but right now they can be hard to access. And it's up to the victim and their family to navigate through that system, and it can be very difficult. It can be complicated. There's a lot of barriers in that. So this flips the script and allows the victim and their family to come to one building, one place, with central intake, central navigation, and the services and resources they need from different community partners co-located into one building. So basically, we're moving from crisis-based responsive services to a much more long-term and holistic approach to service provision, so that it will serve the survivors not just in crisis, but on a path towards a sustainable future as it's defined by them. And on your screen, you can see some of the types of services that will be involved in One Safe Place Macon, like advocacy and law enforcement, legal services, everything to wellness, social services, counseling, that sort of thing. Next, I want to tell you a little bit about some of the best practices of the Family Justice Center model. This was developed by the President's Family Justice Center initiative under President George W. Bush several years after the first Family Justice Center opened in Macon. I'm not going to go through each of these, but I just want to draw your attention that these are, this is what we're aiming towards as a collaborative, and some of the tenets that we're working together: heavy collaboration, strong community input and support, and keeping the survivor centered in both the way that we provide services and the way that we plan. So you can kind of see those there. By way of a little bit of background where this conversation started in Macon, and this is on the next slide, back in the fall of 2020 on Zoom, a group of community leaders from some of our partner organizations got together and talked about COVID and how we were doing service provision, and realized that the demand for services for victims of this type of violent crime, the demand was going up. But we were having to shift gears because of COVID. Already, even before COVID, there were issues meeting the demand. And so this was seen as an opportunity. What can we do differently? How can we innovate to serve our community better? How can we prevent future victimizations and repeat victimizations? So that group of community leaders got together and applied for a grant from the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council of Georgia. CJCC had decided to prioritize family justice centers in a statewide initiative and issued an RFP for a 4-year VOCA grant. Macon was one of 3 communities selected for that grant, which is really exciting because over 100 family justice centers exist in our country, with many more around the world, but we'll be one of the first in the state of Georgia. This is new to the state. So for Macon to be chosen, in addition to Waycross down in southeast Georgia and Cobb County up near Atlanta, is really exciting because we'll be the mid-metro model for our state. So what we're doing here will be future best practices for other similarly sized communities in our state who want to follow in our footsteps. So that award was made in November 2020, and then things really got going from there. So I'm not going to sit here and go into a ton of details on why Macon, because I know, commissioners, that you are very aware of the problem that we have here with crime and victimization in Macon. But I do want to pull out just a couple of data points that I think really drive this home. And this data was provided by Bibb County Sheriff's Office. I was astounded to see that over 14,000 calls a year coming into our E911 center are coded as domestic. And domestic covers all those types of crimes I mentioned, including sexual assault and child abuse. But 14,000, that's over 40 a day. That's way too many. Those are deputy dispatches. Those are victims or multiple victims for each of those calls. And you can see from that graph on the right, that's the percentage of 911 calls that are coded domestic out of the total E911 calls. And it's rising. So in 2018, it was 9%. Just last year was 13.42%. So, and when I asked the analyst who was pulling this data, where are you seeing these calls from? If you plot them on a map, are they clustering? He said it is spread from every single corner and border of our community. It is everywhere, every district, every neighborhood. He said it's probably in your subdivision, you don't even know it. He said this is not discriminate. This covers all demographics that you could ever imagine that can fall into these types of offenses and categories. So we have a real issue here in Macon. The next slide shows you the victim services that we're providing in Macon. Most recent year we have updated data for is for 2020. Now these are not individual people, these are service units, so keep that in mind. This could be a night in shelter, a counseling session, court advocacy, but still 28,000 service units in just a year. And you can see those numbers going up too. And even in 2020, when that was the year where we were on a lot of lockdown and lots of things going on, our service providers here in Macon still increased the amount of service units they were providing significantly. And so this represents some of the core services that victims seek. And it clearly documents the survivor's need for multiple types of services, everything from abuse-related services, legal assistance, social services, basic needs, police-related services. This supports the value of that co-located model so we can more efficiently address the multiple needs of survivors when providing all of those services, so that we can do that more efficiently and serve more people. In a study of multiple family justice centers in California, they did an evaluation, interviewed clients, interviewed partners. One thing that came up was that almost all of the clients who came through, they worked with 5 family justice centers in California. Over 90% of the clients received more than one service beyond intake. So it's extremely common. And we know that here in Macon, it's extremely common. People are not coming for just one thing. To get the help that you need in these sort of victimizations, it needs that multi-pronged approach. So that co-location can benefit survivors because they have a safe, supportive environment. We can create an environment for them that welcomes them and makes them feel safe. Obviously, the benefit of all in one location. It's both legal and therapeutic services, so it really focuses on that wraparound and getting the needed help and information they need, but also that emotional support opportunity. And that study, I pulled a quote from that study that I thought really spoke to this. It says, what appears to be noteworthy about FJC operations is the simultaneous provision of services in a supportive environment, all in one location, in which survivors are getting the help and support that they need. In other words, these benefits combine to form a whole system approach that's greater than the sum of its parts. We've got all the parts and they're great here, but what if we could create something, and that's what we're aiming to do, that is greater than the sum of those parts. So I want to show you the original 9 partners involved in that first conversation. You can see it here on the screen. Crisis Line and Safe House is the lead agency and serving as the fiscal agent for One Safe Place Macon. But you can see from the beginning it was a diverse public-private partnership, and we appreciate the support of Mayor Miller from the very initial conversation. And then you can see on the next slide how our collaborative has grown. And I'm going to sit here and read all these to you, but you can see it's grown from about 9 to 20 and counting. So these organizations are represented on our steering committee that helps drive our planning, help drive our decision making. And this doesn't even include the organizations that are serving on our various work groups. There's additional organizations that are serving on our various work groups. So you can see that this is truly a community collaborative. Lots of organizations that can touch all the different parts of a victim's journey that are willing to come together here. Most on this screen who are in the process of talking within their agency about the level of co-location that they will have in One Safe Place Macon. Some of the benefits for these partners to co-locate is the added structure, the ease that we can better support multidisciplinary response on an individual basis to clients, the opportunity for cross-disciplinary training to be able to support each other's work, to be able to better increase our response and prevent future crime. For example, we had 18 people from about 11 different agencies just a week and a half ago do a training together on non-fatal strangulation response. We know that somebody who's been strangled in an abusive relationship, their risk of homicide increases by 750%. So we had a diverse team that did a training together, a national training on non-fatal strangulation response, so we can improve our response here in Macon. And we can work towards larger goals like that, easier when we're together. We can network our services faster, we can enhance the relationship between agencies, and we can improve how cases are handled. Want to switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit about some of the impact that this can have on our community. I want to talk about the impact of this model. Obviously, not everything can be prevented, and we know that even with the best system in place, we can't control every variable. We can't totally eliminate homicides. However, family justice centers have been correlated with a reduction in domestic violence homicides in communities. And we know many of our homicides here in Macon over the past several years have connected directly or indirectly with domestic violence. So you can see from the data on the screen some examples of that. San Diego, Alameda County in California. Alameda County had a 73% reduction in their domestic violence related homicides. New York, which currently has a family justice center in every borough, saw a 54% reduction. And homicide data that was pulled from the Washington Post found that some of the lowest DV homicide rates in the country are associated with cities that have a dynamic family justice center, such as Fort Worth, Brooklyn, San Diego. And that graph on the right is from Greensboro, North Carolina, Guilford County. And you see that sharp dip between 2014 and 2015. That's when their family justice center opened. And that's tracking their domestic violence related homicides. An early family justice center did an analysis of the cost and economic impact associated with one homicide, everything from the victim services that were provided from earlier assaults, because typically it doesn't just go straight to homicide. There were assaults prior to that. Track that cost all the way up through the homicide itself and the prosecution and subsequent imprisonment associated with that homicide. And they found the total cost for that entire journey of one domestic violence homicide was over $2.5 million. So that reduction in homicide not only prevents loss of life, future crime, but can have a massive economic impact. And that's what we hope to bring to our community as well. And you can see the other costs, some of those very direct costs, some of those very indirect costs that are listed on the screen. Oftentimes, clients come into the family justice centers, and we anticipate this with One Safe Place Macon, as what we call poly victims. Poly victims have, had victimizations from multiple categories that I mentioned earlier, or earlier trauma in their lifetime, whether it's community trauma, violence, environmental trauma. And so One Safe Place Macon will be uniquely suited to identify and assess those complex and long-term needs of those poly victims because of the multidisciplinary response that we have. We can use that multi-pronged approach. We can address mental health, behavioral and physical well-being, and mitigate possible future symptoms, victimizations, and life adversities for those victims through much better, efficient, and integrated services. So we have the opportunity to make a really big impact now and in the future for Macon-Bibb. Last time I was up here with you was during our study tour and community assessment back last summer. And I thank you again for the opportunity with that. In the folders that I've given you, you will see I've included a copy of that community assessment. It gives a good feel of the strengths and challenges that we have in our current service provision for victims here in Macon, as well as a set of recommendations that came from our consultants. There were 23 different recommendations. We've already completed 8 of them. 5 are in progress and should be completed soon. And the remaining 10 are ongoing throughout our entire planning process. But the biggest takeaway is that we're well positioned to further develop and implement our framework for One Safe Place Macon. And our key stakeholders and our core partners are enthusiastic and they are committed. This collaborative is very, very committed. And then since then, we've been working on those recommendations, and then we moved into strategic planning that we held earlier this year, a 2-day-long community-wide strategic planning attended by over 75 different representatives from over 40 different community agencies. And we sat together and we created a vision for One Safe Place Macon, which you can see from all those stickies on the wall. Just for size perspective, those were really big stickies. And so that was led by Casey Gwynn and Gail Strack, who are the president and CEO, respectively, of Alliance for Hope International, and they were the founders of the First Family Justice Center in San Diego. They noted in a debrief with me that they haven't been to a community in years, and they do every single strategic planning for family justice centers all over the world. They hadn't been to a community in years that they felt had as much buy-in and as much excitement as right here in Macon. We were excited. We had both DA Howard, District Attorney Howard, and Sheriff David Davis. And the next slide has a quote from the sheriff that I thought was really exciting from his welcome, where he talked about what a difference this is going to make in how we serve people, what a difference this is going to make from the law enforcement side as we provide more opportunities for people to find paths to sustainable futures that work for them, to keep them from going back to abusive relationships with increased victimization. And we're thankful for his support. Next slide has a picture. You can see some of our community members involved here. It was an extremely dynamic day. In the next picture, I want to show you a close-up of some of the vision that we came up with together. We asked everybody to close their eyes and picture walking into One Safe Place Macon on January 27th, 2027. What does it feel like, smell like, look like? Who's there? What partners are there? What services are happening? What's the environment like? And you can see it was such a diverse vision, everything from very specific, like specialized imaging for strangulation victims, all the way to environmental, like having doors that don't slam. And that we're taking that vision, and that's what we're moving forward with right now. And you can see we've taken that vision, and the next slide, we are now into 5 different work groups. It's a little small. We've got governance and facilities, community engagement, education and outreach, funding and sustainability, data, research and evaluation, operations, and service delivery. So this work group are branches off of our steering committee that are taking that vision, taking the things that we worked on in strategic planning and putting legs on them. And this is an opportunity where we have other community members who want to be involved in this effort, have been joining those work groups to be part of that conversation. And so the big question I always get asked is, well, what about the building? This sounds really big, and where are you going to put it? So the next slide has a little bit of a breakdown of kind of what our next phases are with that. We'll be entering the pre-construction phase soon. which will help us develop that conceptual building footprint, working with the partners to find out, well, how many offices do you need? Do you need exam rooms? Do you have any regulatory or accreditation needs for your particular functional area? And starting to develop that conceptual building footprint so we know exactly how much square footage we're looking for. Also in that footprint, we're going to be developing some of our shared spaces. We're excited to have shared spaces to do community trainings, to have support groups or workshops or wellness activities for survivors. And so we hope to have those as well. So once we get that conceptual footprint, we'll start identifying a building and a property. We know we may not find a building that's ready to go. We may be looking at ground up construction, and we'll be checking through things like that. Next, we'll move into the design phase after that, and that's when once we identify a building, start getting the layouts and everything together. And that's actually what we have applied for MVP funding through the Community Foundation for, is the beginning of that pre-construction and the first part of that design phase. You can see a little bit of where we are as far as our funding plans right now. Georgia Power Foundation supported from the very beginning with initial gift to support our planning and a commitment to fund in the future, which is in process right now. We've applied for funding from Capital City Bank Group Foundation. We received funding from the Community Foundation of Central Georgia through their High Five Fund. That's what funded that strangulation response training, as well as we'll be funding a training called Safe Sacred Space for our community's faith leaders, and also supports our quarterly focus groups with survivors. And then we've applied for MVP funding through the Community Foundation as well. We've also applied for congressionally directed spending, which is the modern day version of what we used to call earmarks, through our senators' offices. We applied to both Senator Ossoff and Senator Warnock and have gotten a good response and are hopeful in that direction. Obviously, this is going to be a big undertaking. Once we go through that pre-construction phase, identify our building and establish the estimated budget cost, our funding and sustainability work group will be working on the final plan for that funding to get our building opening, as well as our continued funding plan for operations once we get that closer to knowing what that exact dollar amount is. But we know ultimately this is more than a building. The building is a crucial part of it, but it's that community-wide response. It's helping people in crisis get the help they need to prevent future crime. Ultimately, this is Macon serving Macon, and we're excited about that. I know we've got a lot of partners and supporters here today, and I just wanted to ask our partners if they would just stand up. And this already just represents multiple different organizations. These folks have worked so hard over the past year and a half to bring this to fruition. And we've just got a talented group who will continue to do that. So thank you all so much. We want to create more efficiency and effectiveness in our system. We want to serve people. We want to help transform Macon. We want to make it a safer place to live, and we want to make our homes safer. We want to be the change here in Macon, and we appreciate the support of the county so far from all of you, and we ask for your ongoing support of this initiative as we move into the next phase. And I'm going to leave, while I answer questions, I'm going to leave you with this quote from Casey Gwynn. It'll pop up on the screen, who's the president, and he put this in our study tour, that family justice centers are really the heart of criminal justice reform and early intervention for children. We know there's force multipliers like racism, poverty, historic oppression, and we hope that we can intervene early with families experiencing violence to prevent future violence from continuing on. So thank you again for having me here. Thank you for your support, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I think we maybe have a question or two, and then we have a few closing comments. Commissioner Wynn?
Yes, first of all, thank you, Sarah, for a great presentation. And thank you all to the partners that work on this. It's a wonderful project and something I hope we will continue to grow and see good results from. I just was curious if you have numbers of the breakdown between adults and adolescents that come through. You do have that, I'm sure, and I'm just wondering if you know right offhand.
Offhand, I couldn't tell you the answer. I don't know if y'all could tell that offhand, and I can relay it through the microphone. But
So, are you adults, yeah.
I think that we would look at Crescent House numbers, the Children's Advocacy Center, and we would look at crisis line numbers for sexual assault and domestic violence, and we've got multiple programs within our organization, and you've got like family counseling
Right.
center. So we would have to pull all those numbers. I don't think we've got
So
definite numbers.
what's interesting about that, and to answer your question, for Crisis Line and Safe House, it was about 2,500 clients served through the various programs last year. It's very hard right now to come up with that exact data amount because the way that we collect data right now is based on service units and it's de-identified. So I can't, unless I just know anecdotally, I don't know that Susie Smith went to Crisis Line and Safe House and then was served by Family Counseling Center, and then her daughter went to Crescent House. We will, however, because of the centralized intake at One Safe Place Macon, change the way that we actually measure data, because we will be able to see Susie Smith came to One Safe Place Macon 5 times. She used these services. So we actually will be able to get a better grasp on data through the assessment measures at One Safe Place.
Thank you. I just wondered, because if you start, I know that some come in together. Adolescents come in with the adults, and then that's probably handled as 2 different cases. If you can help solve this at the adolescent age, you won't have the adults as much, I would think. But I think this is a great project. We have a lot of empty, large, I call them big box locations in Macon. Maybe you can,
Yes.
look at some of those. We got the Macon Mall out there, and it just I know it needs to be a safe and confidential place for these people. But great work. I know we were picked as one of the 3 sites in Georgia. I hope it wasn't because we had so many cases, but it could have been.
It's because our partners were prepared to do the work.
But I was hoping it was something more like that. But again, thank you to the partners working on this. This is a great project. Keep it going. Macon-Bibb County will support you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner Lynn. Commissioner Lucas?
Would just like to add my thanks and congratulations for the success so far. This is the way that you have a woke community, and that word has been used in a negative way in some situations. But to me, that says that you're aware of what's going on in your community. And in the past, we've kind of overlooked a lot of things. We thought everything was okay, and we found out we're not okay. And it's work like this that's going to help us to all wake up. I do have a question. How are you anticipating making sure that all communities are served? A lot of times you have services that come in and everybody's not aware of those services, but those are the groups of folks who have the most need.
Absolutely.
And so I know you've identified where those needs are,
Yes, ma'am.
but how are you going to ensure when you come back and talk to us again, what are you going to tell us about how you made sure that everybody knew about it and the majority population in this community is being served?
Yes, ma'am. That's a great question, Commissioner. So one of our work groups is our community education, engagement, and outreach work group. So they are tasked with making sure that we have a multi-pronged PR approach once we open and even before we open to educate the response. All of our various partners already have good communication efforts, but a couple things that we've got planning. We are being very intentional when we're bringing people onto our steering committee, bringing people onto our work groups, that we're reflecting the community. When we get to a point where we're hiring central staff, making sure that it reflects our community. When we are recruiting survivors to participate in those focus groups, we're making sure we're reaching out through our faith communities, that we're reaching out through multiple different avenues so that we're hearing from all sorts of different people. And in fact, we have several survivors that are serving in those various governance roles. when we were creating our work groups, we were advised, there were 4 that we advised. We added data research and evaluation. But one thing we talked about was, do we have a separate work group for diversity, equity, and inclusion to make sure that we do that? We made the conscious decision not to have that as a separate work group, but instead to make sure that all 5 of our work groups have specific goals and outcomes related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. We felt like it had to be integrated as a foundational cornerstone into everything that we're doing. And that will come together, those outcomes will come together to form an action plan that speaks to that, which we will look forward to sharing with you when that is created. But we're very aware of making sure, because this is a type of crime that affects everybody in our community, but does disproportionately affect particularly women of color, that we are really targeting our outreach where it needs to be targeted. So that's a great question.
Okay, what is the racial breakdown in Macon-Bibb? I know
Macon-Bibb,
you've got it.
or in the survey, or in who we're serving, or just in
Service area.
general? I'm sorry, what? Did
In
you
your
say
service
who you're
area, the
serving?
area that you're going to serve.
Well, we know that right now we have, like I said, a high proportion of women of color who are using the services of all of our partners, and so we know that that will continue. The breakdown is, what is it, 75% through crisis line women of color? Is that about right? 65%. Okay, I got the 5 right. And we know that that reflects our community pretty appropriately. And so,
What were your percentages? What were you
you
saying?
said 65% women of color, Black women specifically, right? And that breaks down further. I don't have that data in front of me. But okay, that sounds right? Okay.
I was sure that you had that.
Yes.
Somebody has it.
And we'll be
because,
happy to provide it for you if you're interested. I can
no,
do
I
that.
kind of know.
Oh, okay.
And I was sure that with a project like this that you would know. It's in your information, I'm sure, because something as thorough as this, you would have to have that in there and know who you're going to serve. So congratulations again, and I look forward to our doing all that we can to assist. I think we already have.
Yes, you guys are wonderful supporters. Thank you for your question, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Lucas. We have one more question, Commissioner Bronson.
Hey, hey again. First and foremost, thank you for the service that you're providing for our community. Wanted to know in regards to 2 questions here. One in regards to your partnership with the VA and local military organizations. Where are we at with that? I want to kind of know, do we have a plan in place to service those military members and service members and families that reside here in the area? As well as in regards to, and I might be saying this pretty, I'm sure I'm saying this wrong, but for those that require sign language, in those type of services, have we addressed that? Is that being addressed, should I ask?
Yes. So speaking of veterans first, all of our partners currently have their own collaborations to serve veterans and military families. Now, collaboratively, that's something we are working on to make sure that population is represented in our steering committee. We're not there yet, but we are working on that because we know that that is a crucial population as well. And then your second question was for language access or other sort of access. Anybody who's receiving federal funds has to have language access plans. And so Crisis Line Safe House has one, some of our other partners have one, and we will be integrating that as part of our operations and service delivery to make sure that we are serving everyone who walks in, regardless of what their needs are. And there's some tremendous state level resources. So no, we may not have an interpreter sitting in this next office that speaks this very particular language, but we do have access through the state level to interpreters that we can bring in for everything all the way down, to ASL and everything else. So we will have a language access plan also.
Okay. If I can be of any assistance from the VA standpoint, by all means, let me know.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner Bronson. We had a follow-up from Commissioner Wynn.
Thank you, sir. Sarah, my question is, these are all great services, and I know that they're offered community-wide, but I always wonder how we communicate with our community to get them to know these services are there, because you made a comment that we'd be surprised that a lot of these cases come out of every one of our districts that we don't know about. We don't know what goes on in someone's home, white, black, or whatever. We don't know, and maybe those people don't know where to come. So I'm assuming that you're going to work on the communication. You mentioned the faith community, but we have to reach farther than that because some are not involved in that. So to get to our community as a whole, what are your plans for communicating, one safe place to Macon?
Well, we will have a centralized communication plan, and then we will also be working through the channels that our partners have already created. And that's something that's great too, is that we're not starting totally from scratch. We already have many of these avenues in place through our partners. So we can use those channels, we can enhance those channels in addition to a centralized public relations push that we will be doing, and that will be part of it as well.
I know when I was a lot younger, the one agency I heard about was Crisis Line, because I had a friend that worked there. Other than that, I may not have known about it or how to reach them, but a lot of people did know about that back in the day. So I'm assuming that the communications will grow and grow
Right.
as to so people will know how to reach it. And it's a lot of females that are involved in that, I'm sure, that need to know that.
And
Thank-
the big difference, the exciting thing is right now we're trying to educate everybody on this list of services right now. We're all trying to communicate our individual services. It will be, that message is going to come across clearer when, let's say, for example, a deputy responds to a DV call and says, let's get you plugged in with One Safe Place Macon. Instead of trying to decipher, okay, well, you really need to go to Crisis Line, or actually, let's get you to this place, it's let's connect you with One Safe Place Macon. So that in and of itself is going to help get that word out, because we're not trying to do those mental gymnastics of trying to figure out where someone goes. Here's your door, and you can walk through it.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Thank you again, Sarah.
Thank you, Commissioner Wynn. And we want to thank you for being here today. As you know, I think I speak for all the commissioners as well, as we certainly are in support of your efforts. This is vitally important, and I think that's why at least two of your members that are here today as part of your group are on our MVP leadership team. I think it's very important to have our solicitor who's here today, Rebecca Grice, as well as Dee Sims with the Crisis Line, as an integral part of our leadership team. They've been there since the very beginning. We support this effort. We understand that if we can get a hold on this issue here, it could substantially reduce our violent crime for as much as 20 to 25%. I think reviewing the homicides over the last couple of years, 90% of those are by people who know each other and not are stranger situations. And at least 25% of those, my understanding, started out as domestic situations and certainly led to the death of a person. So I think we could go a long way of improving our situation here in Macon-Bibb County by supporting such an effort. And that's why we'll have some conversations. We'll continue to have conversations about making sure that we're support to you, and also in some kind of help in locating a good starting place for you to start this office. So thank you for being here today. If we have any other questions, I'll have her email all of you some additional information so you can reach out to them to see how you can play a part of helping them out as far as getting the word out. And I think our communications team, which has been recognized recently as one of the top in the United States, will certainly do a good job of getting this word out.
Thank you.
So thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, commissioners.
Directly related to this good effort that we have here for One Safe Place, and one of the current partners with One Safe Place is our own Mental Health Matters program. So at this time, we're asking our Mental Health Matters team, or Ms. Andrea Cook, if you would come forward. I think we have a presentation for her as well, and she has members of her team here as well. So we'll get a presentation by her, followed by a short question and answer if we have some, and then we'll move on to the fire department after that. Ms. Cook.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So we're going to start this presentation out with a short video. But I am Andrea Cook, and I'll tell you a little bit more about me in a few minutes.
I think about mental health, I think about it's a service that not only addresses personal but work-related mental health concerns. A lot of times we think about it's always personal stuff, either home, finances, but a lot of it sometimes relates back to work-related stress. I truly believe I would not have dealt with several aspects of acceptance, failure, acknowledgement, or detachment issues. My biggest thing throughout my youth was pleasing my parents. My parents built a high wall of do this, don't fail, don't allow others to tell you what you can or cannot do, but these are our requirements in our family. Like I said, I didn't want to take risks or take chances because I didn't want to fail. As I have aged, I have understood that failure is okay. Accepting who I am and what I believe is okay. As a teenager, I struggled with the concept that my diabetes was not a death sentence. As an 18-year-old, I became a type 1 diabetic, hospitalized, not understanding as an athlete that my life has ended. Athletics was everything to me. And with those things being taken away, it was very difficult to just accept and understand. To provide barrier-free accesses to mental health services in Macon, I think it gives an outlet to those that may need it, but consider it not as important to address due to cost. A lot of times I believe people feel like, oh no, I can't afford that. That's not within my budget. But it also gives citizens that need it, it gives them the ability to believe that they may or may not have time for it, such as if they can go during their actual work hours, it gives them the comfort to know that they don't have to utilize their own sick leave, utilize their own personal annual leave, but yet that Macon-Bibb County supports their mental health.
Well, in the summertime, we had a reading, writing, and math camp here, and I reached out to Andrea Cook, and she provided counselors here at the Tubman Museum for our program. And then we partnered again for the after-school programs that I started here. I noticed that by having the counselors involved, that the students had extreme increase in confidence. A lot of parents and teachers had reached out to us and said, thank you, and we knew that part of the work that was done was giving credit to the counselors because of how heavily involved they were with providing a number of programs for the students. I think it's important because counseling is very underrated when it comes to child development. Counseling is needed so that students can develop great social lives and develop great social skills. And by having the counselors come in and do those interactive activities and games with the students, they talk about subjects that will help improve their level of socialization.
When I hear Making Mental Health Matters, I think forward progression for the city. I think it's a wonderful program. I think we should have had this in place a long time ago, so I'm thankful for the founders and making it happen. I think it's important to provide barrier-free access to the city of Macon because we all need someone to talk to. We all have some type of issue or a thing that we've gone through or we're not so confident about, and we need someone to talk to work through those issues. How do I think my life would be different if these services were available to me as a child? It would have saved me a lot of unnecessary bad decision making in my own life. I could have been helped through a lot of issues and trauma that I faced growing up a lot sooner. But I'm thankful to have access to the program right now. So I would tell someone who was in need of the service but maybe a little apprehensive, I was that person. A lot of times in our communities we think the subject of mental health is taboo, but it's actually it's a necessary thing. We all have some type of mental health issue that we need to work through. So it's helpful to have someone to talk to and kind of work through those issues. So I would say just take that leap and go for it.
I've really been able to see the different changes and the process from within being part of the MMHM team. What I've really enjoyed to see is the intentionality behind everyone that's working behind the scene to make sure, not because to say that we want to destigmatize mental health is one thing, but you have to really be intentional about how to go about it in every touch point. So being able to be around people that are not just doing that, but they know the specific communities that they're reaching out to. Being from the communities and being able to have relationships, so it's not one of those one and done scenarios. It's more like it's very organic. It's an organic process, so I've really been able to enjoy seeing all the process.
You know how when you're on a plane and they tell you to put the mask on you first? There's a reason for that. You know, a lot of times we might show up spaces giving our all. While giving our all, we are not intentional about working within self, and that is so detrimental to the work that we do. Being passionate about mental health or being passionate about the community means also seeking out healing self. Healing self is so pivotal to healing community, and that's what the vision behind Making Mental Health Matters is.
So that was my first time seeing it too. So anyway, you all are a phenomenal team. Thank y'all for putting that together. So I'm Andrea Cook. I sit here most days with you, and I don't know that you all know who I am. So I am a mother of 8. I've been married to my husband since 2003. My youngest is 5 and my oldest is 19. And I birthed them all. I think that's important to say. I grew up in the Napier Heights community here in Macon, and I still live in that community. I graduated from Central High School, and then I went on to Fort Valley State University to complete my bachelor's in social work. And then after 10 years of being a stay-at-home mom, my mom decided to tell me that she would be retiring one day. She has not retired, and that I needed to get my master's in counseling. So I went to Mercer University School of Medicine to get my marriage and family therapy master's. And then while pregnant with my 8th child, I decided I was going to get a PhD in couple and family therapy. So I'm a doctoral candidate at Antioch University. So it has been an absolute pleasure and one of the most important honors of my life to be able to bring no-cost mental health clinics to the people who grew up like me and in neighborhoods like mine. Through this process, we contracted with nine therapists. We have trained and or are in training 14 behavioral health interns. We contracted with 2 additional small businesses and countless numbers of people to bring a program that we are proud of, and also recognizing that we were building this plane as we flew it. I'll get into the numbers more specifically towards the end of this presentation, but it's important to me for me to talk about what this journey has been to navigate a dream that became a reality. So through our work, we've partnered with so many organizations and individuals who simply wanted to see Macon be a more mentally healthy community. I believe that we have accomplished that through the following ways. Because Macon Mental Health Matters is a piece of a larger puzzle of the MVP program, it was important to us to participate in and at times facilitate the delicate conversations that build trust in our community and created an opportunity to collect information and stories to help us build programming that is both trauma-informed and culturally competent. We sought out more voices through the creation of the Mental Health Alliance. Many of our partners are here. We have responded to members of the community when violent crime has occurred and created barrier-free opportunities for victims to receive mental health services at no cost, helping to reduce the likelihood of retaliatory action. We have worked with individuals who have had interactions with the courts, and we've helped to reduce the likelihood of recidivism by removing the barrier of cost for individuals needing anger management classes. We've held grief support groups and classes in Macon-Bibb schools, where in one of those groups, about 45 football players had their minds changed about what mental health help can look like for them. We've had an overwhelming interest in working with our male therapists because representation matters. We've had the privilege of working with Macon-Bibb County, the city attorneys, and the HR department to help change the sick leave policy to include mental health services. And very recently, we helped to craft and revise language for the new law, formerly referred to as House Bill 1013. We have worked hard to meet people where they are by creating, implementing, and injecting mental health into the fiber of every action and word we speak to our community. We've partnered with the Pace Center for Girls to provide Lunch and Learn series about adolescent and mental health. And we've partnered with the Immigration Rapid Response Team to offer and refer for mental health services for people who do not speak English as a first language. Can you put up the PowerPoint, please? So a little bit of this is a review of what we've talked about before, but the program snapshot is we want, from a multidisciplinary perspective, this program aims to assist the child who has been affected by any type of trauma and their caregivers. And it's important to include not just the identified client, but also the family unit. The entire family is traumatized by any event that they experience. Therefore, we must work and treat the whole family. Caregivers must also be offered an opportunity for their own mental health services outside of the family services. Subsequently, the entire family will be brought back together to address the trauma they will be supported by well-trained, trauma-informed professionals. This project includes so many collaborations, and we'll get more into that in a little while. So according to Mental Health America, Georgia is number 51 for access in mental health services. This has been an issue in our state, and this program has firmly placed Macon as a leader in addressing this issue. The services of this program include mental health counseling, financial counseling, conflict resolution, anger management, non-traditional mental health activities like yoga and our pop-up gyms, training for parents and professionals, parenting and infant and early childhood mental health services. And all of these things have been offered to the community at no cost. So the mission of this program was to incorporate a holistic approach for reducing recidivism, resolving conflict without using violence, and increasing access to mental health care for all of Macon-Bibb County. This program also serves to raise awareness and inform people within the community about therapy in general. This will lead to destigmatizing mental health as well as increasing access to mental health care. A little bit about the Southern Center for Choice Theory. Our core beliefs is that we genuinely believe that there is the need to be loved and to be accepted, that there is a need to feel and be powerful, that there is a need to feel and be free, that there is an absolute need to have fun, and there is a basic need of survival. The goals of this program were to establish a no-cost mental health clinic that serves the marginalized communities in our county. Oh, it's on the next slide, please. To offer and provide mental health services for up to 300 families, to provide up to 3 hours per week of counseling service to children and or their sibling group, to increase access to effective mental health care, and to participate in training and also train other community mental health agencies, which will improve care provided to people in our community. And number 6, serve to raise awareness and inform people within the community about therapy in general while leading to the destigmatization. So some of the outcomes that we were hoping for, and I feel like we've probably reached most of these, is increasing the awareness about available no-cost mental health services, increasing the number of individuals with mild mental health disturbances who access services, and for those who are a little bit above mild, refer them out. increase the number of families who are familiar with infant and early childhood mental health services and the significance on long-term health care. Enhance the parenting skills of at least 300 low-income families in Macon. Increase the ability of individuals to recognize that they have more choices in the way that they respond and react to events. Enhancing the ability of at least 300 youth and their families to resolve conflict without using violence. To improve information sharing across agencies, improving outcomes for individuals involved with multiple service providers. To strengthen communities by serving these 300 families will influence the outcomes of others in the communities we serve, and to increase the knowledge base by providing the service and gathering data that can be used to assess changes in community access to mental health services and reducing the incidences of violence. So our timeline, we started this process last April. And we broke down our work into it says 4 phases, but it was really 5 phases. And what we wanted to do was start the work while also building the program. So we started with creating the Mental Health Alliance, and then we also got started with our innovation team to begin building a website so that people could access the information and register for events. And then we had our first mental health pop-up jam in May. We moved on to phase 2, where we built more programming around people accessing mental health services in a way that was stigma-free. So we created these mental health support groups that meet daily, Monday through Saturday. Saturday being our very successful parenting class. And a lot of those things happen in the services that we offer. Next slide, please. So we offer solving circles. So solving circles are conversations about how people can reduce their interactions with any violent activity, it serves as primary and secondary prevention. We meet and have this class at the Booker T. Washington Center every Thursday, and it's some pretty engaging things happen in these sessions where people realize that maybe they could have solved an issue without using violence and or just from a different perspective. Another one of the programs that we do is financial counseling. So we've partnered with a few financial organizations to come in and talk to husbands and wives and families about how to navigate funding and financial issues so that we can reduce the incidences of arguments and disagreements. We have drum circles. Those drum circles happen every second Sunday, and we also have a drum circle at every pop-up gym we have. And so drum circles, it's more of a, you can't really think about anything else when you're drumming. It's a way to kind of talk about or think about nothing while you are in a community of other people. It also helps to regulate the heartbeat. It helps to regulate the mind. So we do those at our pop-ups and just in the community every second Sunday if you all would like to come. We also hold the mental health pop-up gyms. They have been really instrumental in destigmatizing what mental health can be. It's not limited to the work that we do, which is very important, therapy sessions. But we have therapist consultations at the pop-up jams. We have yoga and meditation, and this Sunday we had a visual journaling session, and we hold those every Wednesday at the Booker T. Washington Center for anyone who would like to attend. We've had more than 300 people, unique people, visit those pop-ups. We have a whole lot of repeat people, and it's been heavily focused on on rest, and it's been focused on young people, how to engage with their families in a way that is less threatening, how to use the mental health resources that our community is offering. So we've also had community classes. We do something called Mental Health TV, where we've partnered with Macon-Bibb County to create some educational videos about what mental health is. We have the Mommies Linking Arms, which is something that we talked about when we came here the first time, where there are mothers who are more experienced mothers who partner with younger mothers to talk to them about some of the pitfalls and how to learn some different ways about parenting. And they have the support of the counselors and interns to help them do this work, as well as our Phenomenal Fathers, which is something that I know that Commissioner Bronson is excited about potentially partnering with to bring some more resources to fathers and to help them navigate what can be issues with dealing with children who have mental health concerns. So next slide, please. So this slide is representative of where the pop-up gyms have happened, or the Walk with a Doc locations. And a few of these on here are some that we are planning. So if you don't see some places in your district, then let us know. We'll try to add it. Next slide, please. So these are some of the organizations who have partnered. This is not all of them, but this is some of the people that we've worked with through our Mental Health Alliance and who've also come through some of our trainings. We've certified, is it 20, 21? I'm talking to you. 21 people in choice theory, and how to use those services in their own practices. Next slide, please. So some of the active things that we're doing on a daily basis is Making It Happen Mondays, Terrific Tuesdays, and the Terrific Tuesdays is really to celebrate our wins, not just with us, but our partners. Also on Tuesdays, we go to the Elaine Lucas Center to work with some of our seniors. And the reason why we've been focused on working with them is because a lot of them are raising their grandchildren and sometimes just don't know how to deal with some of the mental health ramifications of abandonment and other issues. And so we've been working with them. We also do Mental Wellness Wednesdays, where we do canning and counseling, crafting and counseling, music and therapy, art and therapy, and those are just a few. Tackling Tough Decisions Thursdays, where we do our solving circles and we talk about problem solving skills and how to have relationships that don't include violence. Those Phenomenal Fathers Fridays are therapeutic fatherhood classes. And then we do our pop-up gyms. And then one of the exciting things about in collaboration with the pop-up gyms is the bus ads. So there will be 13 bus stop and bench ads that will direct people to services about how they can access mental health services through our website. So next slide, please. So we did a lot of strategic planning through this process, and so we created MMHM departments. So we have our MMHM Alliance, which includes like our directory and our referral system, our therapy service, which is called Taranga, and Taranga is a Wolof word that means hospitality. We work hard to make sure that people who come and receive these services don't get shortchanged in any way. They're experiencing a no-cost model, but we call it no-cost because, of course, it's not free, and we don't want people to think it's free. We have our MMHM pop-up gyms, which happen at rec centers and at parks. We work hard to expand our reach. We've worked hard to to advertise so that we have as many people that can take advantage of these services so they can get them. We've worked hard in innovation. And so we were trying to bring some of the most cutting edge services to our neighbors. Our MMHM Tech, they have worked to make sure that we have the best security because a lot of our services happen outside of our main office. So we had to make sure that the computers that are used, the services that we offer, the systems that we use are all HIPAA compliant. And we've done a lot to make sure that we offer training and certification for the people who work with us and the people who are partnered with us. We've done a considerable amount of marketing. We've done a lot of work around finance. We are, all of the services that we offer are research-based, and we've done a lot of work with data extraction and reporting and surveys. And we've done a lot to work on communication, and we have a constant planning committee. Next slide, please. So this is just a little bit about our web report, the traffic, where most of the traffic that comes to our website and asking for information comes through Facebook. Most of the visited pages, the most visited page is second to the home page is the Alliance page. People are very interested in how they can join the Alliance, what they can do. Are they required to be a mental health professional? And they are not required to be a mental health professional. We think that everybody has a say when it comes to mental health. 29% of the MMHM traffic are returning visitors, and we've managed to gather 343 contacts. So we send a newsletter to them every other week. Next slide, please. Currently, we are serving in 8 locations in 4 different zip codes. We are at the Booker T. Washington Center, at the Tubman Museum, the Rosa Jackson Center, the Elaine Lucas Center, Senior Center, Memorial Gym, Bloomfield Gilead, at our main office on Holt Avenue, and we offer services at the Brookdale Resource Center. And just a little bit about the numbers. You go to the next slide, please. So when I came a few months ago, I gave you the most up-to-date numbers. So since then, we have received 3,318 calls inquiring and or asking for services. We've worked with 623 families and their individuals. We've had 2,487 hours of counseling and psychoeducation. 88 people are currently in are receiving counseling services, and we've had 438 people, unique people, attend our MMHM events. So, in closing, or before I ask you all if you have any questions, as I'm sure you do, we are working on our sustainability and expansion of our services. Right now we have a proposal and have received prior support from the Griffith Family Foundation, and 2 other grant applications have been completed. And I just want to leave you all with what the World Health Organization says, and that there is no health without mental health. So, questions?
Thank you for that very detailed presentation. I think a lot of hard work and effort went in there. I'm certainly one of the cheerleaders for Mental Health Matters. I would like to think so. The program has been successful. What Ms. Cook did not share with you on the many occasions that we've had to contact her office when the incident happened in Macon-Bibb County, where someone's been shot or shot at in an attempt to make sure that didn't result in some type of retaliation that ended another person's life, as well as incidents where children were involved. And we've had incidents where people had an issue at a particular location that we've been able to send them to potentially prevent a suicide from happening, as well as a violent crime from happening. So they've been very instrumental with our office and with the Sheriff's Department on being where we needed them to be at the time we needed them to be there. Also, as you can see, this is a very targeted approach. Those areas we mentioned, the data supports the issues that we've had in those particular areas, and it's important that people, they get instruction or counseling from people in their neighborhoods that they recognize that predominantly look like them. And I think you have to be intentional on that effort. I think we've done that, and they've done a wonderful job. You know, Brookdale is one of those things that we've had constant help from this organization to help us navigate that process and getting people into permanent housing. The retaliation from the Macon Violence Prevention Program, just like the previous group, we have to have a multifaceted approach when we're tackling violence in our community. Although the numbers may not appear to the general public right now that we're making progress, we are making real progress, and we have done it in a very short period of time. Numbers lag behind, and we certainly have a great foundation. When you build anything, you must have a solid foundation. You can't just start putting the rooftop on. So we begin with a very solid foundation. You can't attack the violence that we have in our community without getting to those root causes of anger management and providing the basic needs that people need to have. So I'm very proud of this group and the work they've done. This is the second or third time she's come here to let us know about what was going on. This is something we told you we were going to do in the very beginning, to get updates on a regular basis, to provide you real data and real numbers on things we're going to do. We're also looking at ways to expand this program through other helps and other foundations or other funding out there. Their year has been up on their contract. They're still serving right now. You will see later on in this agenda item for lack of a better word, a change order to allow us to continue this program for a few months while we await any additional ARPA funding we may get in, or any other funding from outside foundations. So this group has been a vital asset to our community. We're going to continue to see great things going on. It does not happen in a silo, as you can imagine. A lot of the folks on Andrea's team is also the same folks you just heard from. That's why they remain here the entire time of this presentation. I think that says a lot. Instead of just getting up and leaving after their presentation was done, most of them sat through this presentation because it's so vitally important to attacking the full situation we have here in Macon-Bibb County. So thank you for your work. I appreciate the conversations that we continue to have and your effort in the community all throughout all the departments we have. We look forward to continuing our relationship with you, in particular for the Macon Violence Prevention, because we're not going to be able to prevent violence in our children in the future if they don't know how to handle anger. We want them to talk. We want them to do other things before they pick up a gun and take the life of someone else or themselves. And I think it's important that we reach them at the earliest age possible, but also not to forget about that they have brothers and sisters, and they have siblings, and they have family members that have went through the same traumas. And a lot of time we only reach out to the victim, and we don't consider all the other victims that are out there and their families that need these help and these services. So I want to thank the Commission for agreeing to fund this very worthy project last year, and looking for your support as we get to the next agenda item here shortly. But if there's no other questions at this time or comments, Ms. Nguyen, I knew you would have one. Commissioner Nguyen, thank you.
Quick one. Andrea, how could you think we didn't know who you were, first of all? Everybody knows who Andrea Cook is, right? But I just want to say thank you again to your hard work on this project, and we hope to see continued work. Have a little comment. I want some pop-up gyms in places that I might go more often to, like perhaps Washington Park, Henry Burns Park, North Macon Park. You might see some folks over there, because I saw the advertisements about the pop-up gyms, I think it was, and I didn't know where that was.
Okay.
Lewis Park. So kind of spread it out a little bit, if you would, and spread it out in the community. Again, this is a communication thing. I did see it on TV where it was another location, but I'd like to see it all over, where you may have people over there you'd be surprised and want to come to these things and get involved.
Yes, ma'am. Well, we will answer that call, and then I can ask you to be our representative.
Yeah. Depends on what day. I knew she was going to throw something like that back at me. You got to remember, Andre, I'm older than you, okay?
Be careful what you ask. Be careful what you ask for.
I'd be happy to come to some of those.
Thank you very much.
Please don't make it a yoga day. I don't know if I can handle that.
I used to teach aerobics a long time ago, but that was a long time ago, okay?
The adequate word isn't very long.
Excuse me. We'll talk later.
Commissioner Brunson. Commissioner Brunson, you got it.
Thank you for the presentation. Wanted to know, just out of curiosity, and I'm sure you've already hit on that as well, what are some of the recruitment efforts that we have to entice more males to be involved, and whether or not it's doing a partnership with Fort Valley State University.
Make sure you say B.
Mercy University of Savannah State. What are we looking at in regards to recruiting more males into this particular field? Or how can we go about supporting you in getting more males into this field?
I think it has to be a concerted effort. One of the major successes of the work that we've been able to do is that we have Black male therapists who are working in some of these recreation centers. That attracts some of the young people who didn't think that men were therapists. I mean, it's heavily, women just automatically want to nurture, and so it's more women in this field than men. But I think that representation matters, and so if we just need to make a concerted effort to ask them to join this field, and I know that you have your master's in mental health counseling, and so maybe you should talk a little bit more about why you decided to get your degree in that field and how it has helped to heal you, because anyone who has done the work of getting a degree in this field knows that we are healing ourselves as we work to heal others. So maybe you should start an initiative and do that. I would support you.
She's on a roll today, ain't she?
I'm scared to ask any questions. I may sign up for something else. Thank you once again. But before we leave, I would like for Mr. Ford, if you don't mind, if we could get all these folks here from the first presentation and second presentation as a group. We haven't recognized the Mental Health Matters group, and they can stand up now, and then they'll walk down to the front, if you don't mind, for a group picture with you all. So I want to make sure you get your due, and please stand up here as part of the Mental Health Matters program. And if you don't mind, if we could get both groups down the front, I just want to make sure that he's able to give you the proper recognition that you deserve and take a picture of that. Come on, ladies. I see a few of you sitting out there not going up to the front now.
Coming right where you are. Get inside of the picture. Now, if everyone take 2 steps forward and someone stand in front of that. There we go.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. We do have some other presentations. Feel free to sit in on these next ones if you'd like to, but if you do have to leave, we understand that you have other things you may need to do. We're going to move on to another very important item here today. This is the presentation of the Macon-Bibb Fire Department and the Macon-Bibb County Fire Department Training Academy or Facility. I welcome our chief here with us today, as well as members of his staff, and I believe we have a presentation and perhaps an update on our new training facility that's on the way.
All right. Good morning. Thank you all for allowing us to be here. I did bring in some of our staff that was very instrumental in the training tower project. First off, thank you for your support. It's something that we've been talking about for quite a while now. We wanted to come before you and give you an update on where we were today. A little bit over a year ago, we started talking about this project and the need of it, and it was something that's very much needed for Macon-Bibb County Fire Department. And one of the conversations I had with the mayor early on was that we needed to make sure this happened. And after that conversation, I went back and sat down with my leadership staff at the time. Chief Rico Stevens, now our assistant chief, was our training chief at the time. We sat down and we put together a game plan to form a committee, basically a training tower committee for the Macon-Bibb County Fire Department. And who was instrumental on that committee and chairing that committee for us was Lieutenant Garen Flanders. And he's here with us this morning and is pretty much going to give us an overview of the timeline of where we were a year ago and where we are today. And we are looking forward to putting together a date soon to have a groundbreaking ceremony. So we wanted to give you an update. Also with us, I invited in Mr. Warren Selby with Warren Associates, just in case there are any questions about the timeline and where we are. So at this time, if you would, please welcome Lieutenant Garen Flanders to come up. He's going to give us an update and kind of an overview of the PowerPoint we put together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chief. Commissioners, thank you, Mayor. Real quick, we can go back up to the slide real quick. Again, we're going to do a quick just overview, a project update of where we're at. I know it says up there, first discussion, January 2nd. Actually, the night of Mayor Miller's election, some of you guys that were on council, the conversation started then. It was, what do we need? Where do we need to go for the fire department? What's something that's beneficial? So it started months before y'all's inauguration. Once we started on it, January the 2nd, I got a phone call from Mayor Miller and said, where's my training tower? So I knew right then, hey, we better hit the ground running with boots on the ground. And that we did. We did multiple site visits January through March. This was just the fire department and our committee that Chief Stevens, Chief Edwards put together. And then we brought some of the commissioners in with us. We went to our facility, looked at it, said this is what we got. Went to a couple, one of Robin's facilities, neighboring counties, and said this is what they have. The overwhelming response was, we want better, we want more. So we put our heads together, we talked about it. We decided this was a project because of what we had. We had the structure that we needed, or had the structure in mind that we needed, but we didn't have really a game plan. We didn't want to start this project and then have to backpedal and say, hey, we kind of put the cart before the horse. So we made a suggestion, we need a contractor for this. So backed up and we put that out for bid. Said, let's get a general contractor. We contacted, I think we had 6 bids that come in, put out our specs, what we wanted. That come out, and then that was on May 20th. On June of 2021, we selected Warren and Associates to be our general contractor for this, to oversee it. This, like I said, a very thorough process. It wasn't until about August that Warren and Associates were notified that they had received the contract. There was just some legal stuff we had to do, which happens. Our first planning meeting with Mr. Selby and his staff was in September. I say that to note this. The contract actually wasn't initiated to Warren and Associates and signed by council and Mr. Selby until October 29th. But he knew, good faith, that, hey, this was going to move forward. He knew what our timeline was and that we needed to get the ball running. So October 29th, we initiated a contract with Warren and Associates and had already had several planning meetings at that point. You can go to the next one. So our final scope that we come up with was, after several site visits with council, then with Mr. Selby and his staff, some Bibb County architects, multiple chiefs, was a 5-story constructed tower. Originally, we were going to do Connex boxes like everybody else did. The surrounding counties have Connex boxes, similar to what we have out there, but you have a 10-year, 15-year max that you can get out of these, and then you have to start refurbing. We didn't think that was us being good stewards of taxpayers' money. We said, let's back up, let's see what we truly can do that's going to stand the test of time and give us exactly what we want. So we made our way to Cobb County. Cobb County has a built structure. Price-wise was not much more. It had concrete floors in it. It was erected, constructed. It wasn't just pieced together Connex boxes. Inside these structures was interior, exterior stairwells. We have an elevator shaft simulator, platforms with canopies for training, scene lighting. If any of y'all have ever been out to our drill field at night, it is pitch black dark down by the Commissioner Bronson's been there. He is dark. So makes it to where you can't really train down there much at night. Scene lighting around there, Class A burn rooms. We went to several structures that had what they call Class B. Class B is propane fed or natural gas fed. You cut it on, cut it off really quick, but the firefighters don't get a true sense of what burning combustibles really look like. So one of the questions that I learned real quick that we would go and ask these people while we were looking at what they had and that they were extremely proud of, biggest question I would ask is, what would you do different? Backing up what you have now, what would you do different? And unanimously, every one of them said that had Class B we would go with Class A type structures. And they also said we would get away from the Connex box style and we would do built structures. We would spend the extra money for that. So that's the route we went. We had working roofs put on this thing and still forcible doors and windows, walls. Our guys will get a true concept of what a fire and a structure fire looks like, to go in, work, to have to go in and search. So that's where we're at with the final design. Those are just highlighted points. There's multitudes of equipment and stuff that are in these things, which I have that for you guys to see whenever y'all like to look at it. Next slide we'll go to, you'll see that it's the, next slide, thank you. This is our current timeline. So again, our design and planning stage started September of 21. Warren and Associates, they put out an RFP October of 21. That was they're putting out a bid after they were awarded the contract to find the best possible, contractors for us. We come in, we gave them a list of the manufacturers that we liked, and they put out competitive bids. We wasn't going to just say, hey, give us the first thing that comes to mind. We wanted competitive bids, and Warren and Associates were instrumental in that. The tower design for that was due in November of 21. Field work started November 15th. We had a lot of preparation we had to do, utilities. We had to get a lot of civil engineering done, stuff like that. We did several site meetings at our Tinker Drive location in December. Purchase order was issued to WHP, which is who we went with. That is who's going to build this structure. It was issued in December. Civil design was complete January the 7th. Our final tower drawings were received March the 10th, and WHP sent their bonds to Warren and Associates on March 15th. I'm happy to say that construction is going to begin in May. We had originally said we was going to start tearing down the original structure that was out there in March, but because of having to wait on some permit issues and some design issues, our guys have to have at least 18 hours of training on site. This allowed us one more month to get all of that training done, so we meet our standards for NFPA, ISO, and state requirements. So we left the tower up for one more month to make sure, or what we currently have, that they got their time in, which I'm happy to say they did. For the most part, I think we're 95% complete with all of our training, and the rest of that will finish before the rest of this tower comes down. We are still looking at, even though we hit some roadblocks and some stalemates, an estimated completion at the end of this year, so we can start training in this facility. So with that being said, we'll run to the next slide, and I'm sure this is what everybody wants to see. What have we come up with? And as you see, this is what we have. It is, in my opinion, probably the best in the state. If you look here, you have on the left side facing this screen with the canopy on top, that will be an interior stairwell right there. That will be an interior stairwell with that top that'll have parapet walls where the guys can climb over, climb out. There will be anchor points on top of that canopy. All the way down that is an interior stairwell with fire sprinkler systems in it. All the way to your far right will be kind of a garage type simulator where there's just an open floor plan in there with a flat roof. To the dead center of that, you'll see you have a kind of a bifold door. These will be forcible entry doors. Teaches our guys how to get in and out of these structures. That's actually 3 floors. The roof up top has removable wood panels, so we can teach them roof ventilation. You go on over, you have a hallway type area. Those of you that went to Warner Robins, y'all know exactly what it looks like on the inside. We don't have any interior pictures of it, but we do have these exterior. On the far back side, that is an elevator shaft. It gives you a true sense of what it takes to work inside these elevators. And we can use it for more than just elevators. We can use it for confined space, high angle rescue, stuff like that. This particular building, where you have some buildings that have 1 or 2 burn rooms in them, and when we say burn rooms, these are the rooms that we're allowed to light fires in. This one has 4, possibly 5. We have 2 on the lower level, 1 in the carport, 1 in this middle section. And what I liked about the breezeway that are connecting the 2, some of these structures that we've looked at that was open, you can't put a live fire inside the tower part, but this one has it where we can put it in that breezeway that's closed, and that allows us to simulate the fires inside of those and smoke those up. So we'll keep going. The rest of these are just pictures of the building. Again, we constantly asked, what would you do different? And that's how we come up with this design. WHP, they were instrumental in working with us. There you see the outside stairwell on the incoming side. They were instrumental in designing us something that was unique to our needs. One of the next things, this is an aerial shot of it. As you see, it's tons of room, tons of working, flat roofs, pitched roofs, gabled roofs, parapet walls. And then the next slide is what I'm really excited about. One of the things, we went to Columbus. We got this idea from Columbus. They had, where we're at, we have a wide open field. So should something happen inside this tower, somebody get hurt, somebody needs to be pulled from the tower, the only place we had to render aid to them was out in the middle of an open field, because once we start the demolition there, everything we have down there is going away. So we decided, let's do a 50 by 100 awning that's open all the way down except for one end. That other end is our control room. We'll have a classroom in there. We'll have desks from one side of the wall to the other, open visible windows so the guys can see out, see what's going on. They can store files, hook computers up. Inside that structure is also, on the open side, we have anchor points, so we can teach some training in there when the weather's extremely miserable. We'll do it outside, but if we can do it here and keep our equipment safe, that's the best place to do it. So we have that little area, and it's also a rehab area to get these guys out of the sun. We don't have to go down, do 2 hours of training, and then make these guys walk up a hill to sit in a classroom or sit on a apparatus bay to rehab. We can do it right here. And then we also have bathrooms on site. Instead of them having to walk up the hill to go to the restroom, there's restrooms down on site there. So it's, like I said, I'm excited about it. I know this was real quick, fast, and in a hurry. That's how we do things on fire department. Real quick, fast, and in a hurry, we have to. But I do want to tell you guys, thank you so much for your support. Thank you for standing behind this and seeing the need for it. Chief Edwards, Chief Stevens, thank you guys for trusting me to move forward with this project. It's been an honor and it's been a privilege. And it's much needed, much needed. With that being said, too, before I close, one of the things you guys know, I'm the president of the association. The association got behind this as well, and with the support of the mayor's office, with the support of our fire chiefs, the association really wanted to push something forward to say, hey, we support this. We're there to help train, to help do whatever we need to do. So we come up with a thing for our guys online, but then we also come up with a coin. It's a challenge coin. Those of you that's in the military know all about the challenge coins and what they mean. But with that, we come up with a design, and on the front side of this coin is, where's the camera at? If y'all can zoom in on that. On the front side of it is our Macon-Bibb County seal. It has our logo, it has, what we stand for. We're Class 1, and we want to make sure everybody knows we're Class 1, and our training facility is Class 1. But if you flip it around, we made some other coins that we gave out to the guys online. But for this special group and this special project, we made these. And on the back side of it, there we go. It's got our Macon-Bibb Fire Training Academy, which we're going to purposely rebrand, that where our guys do not say we're going to Tinker Drive. We're going to a training academy that's located on Tinker Drive. And it's got the date on it. It's got Warren and Associates shield on it. And with that being said, we got a whole lot of these for people that are instrumental in this project. You guys have been the best supporters. So we got you guys some. So I'm going to pass them out to you guys. And while I'm going to do that, Mr. Selby, if they have any questions on the timeline, feel free. He's willing to, talk to you guys about that. But I'll give you this, and then I'll answer any questions you guys have.
Commissioner Wilder has a question.
Good morning. I just wanted to tell y'all thank you for all that y'all do, the professionalism y'all show out in the field often, all the time. And recently retiring from the insurance industry, I can tell our citizens how important that Class 1 is to everybody in Macon-Bibb and us keeping it, because it really saves everybody money on their insurance and everything else. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Wilder. Mr. Selby, two things I just want to know. Make sure we're under budget and on time.
Yes, sir. Always.
All right. That's all the questions I have.
We also, too, are going to have a little challenge for when we complete the tower. Each of you will be asked to rappel off the side of the building. So start training on that now because you have a few months to get ready.
I'll nominate Ms. Lucas. She raised her hand first. Be careful now. Somebody may retire you. Commissioner Wynn, you have a question?
Yeah, I just want to say, yeah, we do support the Macon-Bibb County Fire Department, and thank you for all you do. Warren, thank you for your work with the city, too. I was, tell you the truth, when we took our tour of our training facility and went to Warner Robins, I was embarrassed. So this, if nothing else, it made us think where we were, where they were, and where we should be. And we're a Class 1 fire department. So Warren, let's make this a Class 1 training academy, training center. Thank you, guys.
Well, I will tell you, Ms. Wynn, the people at WHP, that is who we are doing this tower through, along with Warren and Associates, they have said this is probably the state-of-the-art tower that they have built to this point. So we will definitely have something to be extremely proud of for the entire state. So, exactly.
Commissioner Bronson?
Hey, first and foremost, thank you guys so much. Needless to say, long time coming, right? Great presentation. I do want to ask in regards to training, right? When we start talking about training facilities and so forth, where are we at, or have we identified or start the process for the aircraft training, right? Getting that part done for certification for the state, so that way we can get that state recognition of, hey, this is the place to come and do your airport training as well, alongside with our training facility.
Right, thank you. A good question. Last year when we first started talking about this project, one of the aspects of the whole fire academy for Macon-Bibb County I talked about was having a training tower for the firefighting suppression side, but also an aircraft simulation side for ARF, which is Air Rescue Firefighting. We currently still have to send our firefighters out to other counties. We partner with Warner Robins Air Force Base, and we also have to go to Hartsfield, Atlanta to do our ARF training. We still have to do that. We were in a budget of the $2.8 million that was for this project. I was hoping early on that when we started this that we could figure out how to get an aircraft simulator into that, but we're not able to at this point. However, I have been meeting with Doug Favor with the airport, and we've been talking about some opportunities hopefully in the future that we can bring to y'all and maybe look at putting a aircraft simulator out there on their property. Hartsfield, when we go up there and do our training, and I've also been out there with Chief Stevens and toured their facility, they actually do all of their aircraft firefighting on the airport property, which is unique. And so we still need to make that happen. We are paying a lot of money to send all of our firefighters to these other communities and counties to get their ARF training. So if we can figure out, the funds to be able to bring that in and Macon-Bibb County, that's definitely on our project strategic plan in the future.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Look forward to supporting that.
Thank you, Mr. Bronson. Like always, I think everybody on this commission certainly supports. Some of them have said they will vote for anything that the fire department brings, and we won't have to say who that is, but we know we all support public safety in general, and fire department is certainly a large part of that. We appreciate all the good work. We've had some great moments already in the last year. Loved going there and seeing 36 people get promoted at one time. That was an amazing event. Things are going really well. I see your assistant fire chief back there sitting down. Don't want to take any of the credit. I will tell you that he has done an excellent job already. We had someone reach out to him, and I told him earlier, but I want to publicly thank him for interacting when no one is watching. I think that's very important. During our recent storms that we had over here near Rosa Taylor, we had a situation where there was an elderly woman in one of those homes, and her daughter was just terrified not being able to get there because they had everything blocked off. And she mentioned this one particular young gentleman helped her and went and checked on her mother to make sure that she was safe and made her feel a lot better. And she said his name was Rico Stevens. So I want to personally and publicly thank you for that. It's amazing. People get a lot of accolades in their lives, and they stand up here and take pictures, but it's what you're doing when no one is watching that really means a lot. So, Rico, we appreciate what you've done so far. Looking forward to better things at the fire department. I'm certainly looking forward to turning some dirt in the very near future and cutting some ribbon in 2022. So you got your work cut out for you. We don't want to hear no excuses about weather or pandemic. We just want the job done. So thank you for being here today. Thank you for the challenge coin. And we look forward to, we have a couple more items. I think you've requested some things for some fire departments, so you may stay around a little bit, Chief. But looking for some big and better things this year for Macon-Bibb County Fire Department. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, we're moving right along, and we have certainly another presentation and proclamation. Certainly not the least, and I apologize for making you wait throughout this other presentation, so we want to bring you come forward. Ms. Wanzina Jackson, would you like to do the proclamation before or after?
After, if that would be great.
That would be great. Thank you
Yes.
very much. So I will turn the floor over to you to identify yourself for people at home that may not know who you are and the great work you do for our community, and then we'll begin your presentation.
Good morning. I am Wanzina Jackson. I am the Director of the Economic and Community Development Department for Macon-Bibb County. Thank you so much for allowing us to come this morning for National Community Development Week. This is an exciting time across the nation where several communities are actually acknowledging the funds that we receive through the Department of Housing and Urban Development as far as our community development block grant funds. We have several of our staff members that are here today, as well as partners. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to yield to Charlotte Woody, our Assistant Director for Community Development, that is going to come and actually highlight some of those partners that we talk about throughout the year as we come before you. Ms. Woody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Charlotte Woody, and I'm the Assistant Director of Community Development in the Economic and Community Development Department. And in recognition of National Community Development Week, we would like to take a few moments to share this presentation with you. The National Community Development Week originated in 1986 and was created out of a desire to bring national attention to the Community Development Block Grant Program when the program was facing scrutiny by Congress. This week-long recognition provides the opportunity for communities to promote, educate, and to advocate on behalf of the Community Development Block Grant. Next slide. Throughout Macon-Bibb County, agencies are allocated Community Development Block Grant funds after an application process. Funds are distributed to the agencies in order to provide decent, safe, and affordable housing, a suitable living environment, and economic opportunities for low and moderate income people. Some of our partners are, next slide, Big Brothers, Big Sisters of the Heart of Georgia. Next slide. Big Brothers, Big Sisters provides a mentoring program which services at-risk youth of Bibb County. The program provides enrichment activities in person or virtually for adults and youth to participate in. Next slide. Crisis Line and Safe House of Central Georgia. Crisis Line and Safe House provides shelter services to persons and families involved in a domestic violence situation within a 12-month period with comprehensive services. Families and individuals usually enter this program through the 24-hour crisis line. These testimonial letters and artwork of appreciation were provided by individuals served by Crisis Line, thanking them for their assistance during their time of need. And there you have artwork as well as 2 letters of appreciation. As we talk about Crisis Line and Safe House, I want to remind everyone that the month of April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Here you will see there are a number of activities taking place this month. And of course, if you need any additional information regarding these activities, I'm sure Crisis Line will be glad to speak with you. Family Advancement Ministries. Family Advancement Ministries provide car seats along with the training for installation and proper use for low to moderate income families with young children in Macon-Bibb County. The program addresses keeping children safe in cars and enabling parents to safely transport their children to daycare as they work, seek employment, or attend school or training sessions. Family Counseling Center of Central Georgia. The Family Counseling Center of Central Georgia's CDBG program provides counseling and therapeutic programs and make referrals to the appropriate resources to help low-income families and neighborhoods deal with complex issues. Home First Housing Resource Services. Home First provides home ownership counseling, foreclosure counseling, home buyer education, linkage to mortgage products, and the ability to strengthen personal finances. The agencies provide quarterly home buyer education workshops, public service announcements, as well as provides information through various community activities and other housing programs. Home First will be celebrating their 20-year anniversary this summer. Macon-Bibb County Economic Opportunity Council Dental Program. In an effort to promote good hygiene for our homeless citizens, the Macon-Bibb County Economic Opportunity Council's program provides dental services to include screenings, extractions, fillings, cleanings, partials, and dentures. Macon-Bibb County also sponsors a transportation program. This program provides transportation for the homeless community who lack transportation resources for employment, medical, and housing appointments. The Mentors Project of Bibb County. Mentors Project is a program that works with middle and high school students, providing them with academic tools and life skills that are needed in order for them to complete high school, college, post-secondary schooling, armed forces, and entering the world of work. This calendar denotes some upcoming Mentors projects this spring and this summer that will be held for those young students. For more information regarding these programs and other activities, please contact the Mentors Project of Bibb County. Rebuilding Macon. Rebuilding Macon partners with Macon-Bibb County with two programs, the Minor Home Repair Program, as well as the Volunteer Youth Program. With the Minor Home Repair Program, Rebuilding Macon organizes and directs the efforts of over 2,000 volunteers to repair the homes of low-income elderly and disabled homeowners in Macon-Bibb. In their Volunteer Youth Program, Rebuilding Macon organizes and directs the efforts of high school and college students to repair homes of low-income elderly and disabled homeowners in Macon-Bibb County. The local high school students usually volunteer in the fall and in the spring. The college teams travel to Macon, Georgia in December and March for alternative community services. This timeline denotes Rebuilding Macon's events from March 29th to April 30th, at which time Rebuilding Macon will host their 30th anniversary celebration. Throughout the year, our CDBG partners will host events and activities that will take place to benefit our community. These announcements identify two activities sponsored by two of our partners. Central Georgia Technical College will be holding a training for small businesses between April 18th to 20th, as well as a clothing drive on April the 29th. And Home First First-Time Home Buyers Workshop is scheduled for April the 30th and June 18th. There are some additional agencies who also receive CDBG funding. Next slide. They are Central Georgia Scouts, Central Georgia Technical College, Field of Hope, River Edge Foundation Corporation, Macon-Bibb County EOC's Hotel Motel Program, Family Advancement Ministries Child Care Program, Meals on Wheels, and Men About Change. The objective of National Community Development Week is to educate congressional members and the community on the importance of the Community Development Block Grant Program, its impact on the community, and the need for increased program funding. Thank you for allowing ECDD and its partners to come before you today as we celebrate National Community Development Week 2022. For any other questions regarding these and other programs, please feel free to contact us at 478-751-7190. I will now turn over the remainder of this presentation to Ms. Jackson. Thank you.
Thank you.
We are so excited. And at this time, yes, we would like to do our proclamation. And can we have a picture? And definitely want to say thank you to all of the commissioners as well as the mayor for all of the support that you have given us throughout the years as far as the community development block grant funds and the agencies that receive these funds. The majority of them are agencies that provide social services in our community, all the way from domestic violence type activities, services, as well as family counseling, and then mentoring for our youth. So again, thank you for your support.
Thank you. At this time, I ask Commissioner Wilder. He'll be reading the proclamation, and at the conclusion, we'll have the pictures to be taken, as well as if you want to include the partners that you brought today and as part of the
Yes,
presentation, that'd be wonderful as well.
Thank you, Mayor Miller, for asking me to read this. It's the proclamation from the Office of the Mayor, Macon-Bibb County, Georgia. Whereas, for more than 45 years, the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, program has made tremendous contributions to the viability of the housing stock, infrastructure, public services, and economic vitality of the Macon-Bibb community. And whereas the CDBG program has as its primary objective the development of viable urban communities by providing decent housing, suitable living environments, and expanding economic opportunities, principally for people of low and moderate income. And whereas Macon-Bibb receives a direct allocation from CDBG program annually to provide resources for a wide variety of community development activities that principally benefit low-income and moderate-income persons, including the elderly and children. And whereas in program year 2017, Macon-Bibb County has had more than 700 individuals benefit from the CDBG program that provided services in youth mentoring programs, minor home repair programs, family and individual counseling, crisis intervention, homeless services, and case management. And whereas the CDBG program funding has developed a strong network of relationships among local government, residents, businesses, and nonprofit organizations. Now therefore, I, Lester M. Miller, do hereby proclaim April 11th through 15th, 2022 as National Community Development Week. In Macon-Bibb, I urge this community, Congress, and administration to recognize the outstanding work being done locally and nationally by the Community Development Block Program. In witness thereof, whereof I hereby unto set my hand and cause the seal of the consolidated government to be affixed this 11th day of April 2022. Lester M. Miller.
Thank you so much. At this time, will our partners please stand and come forward?
She's the boss.
Thank you. Thank you.
Commissioners, that concludes our presentations for this Morning. We're going to go ahead and move to the approval of minutes. That's item 1A. Item 1A is the minutes for the committee of the whole meeting from March 8, 2022. Can I get a motion for approval? Got a motion by Commissioner Wynn, second by Commissioner Bronson. Any other questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries. Going to move on to new alcohol beverage licenses. We've got 3 of those on the agenda today. Today we have a very special guest, Adriana Beavers. She's been taking the place of our attorney Frank Howard, who is still nursing that new baby. So next meeting, I think we'll get him back, or he'll be bringing a child to work. Before we begin with these alcohol beverage licenses, we want to make sure that that the attorney that we have is competent to testify about this. Have you had the opportunity to go to any of these places?
I have had the opportunity to visit one of these locations.
Okay.
And
another question for you.
Code Enforcement Officer Rick Wolverton has visited the rest on my behalf.
Okay. And are you old enough to go into a place like this?
I am.
And how old are you?
You can't ask me that.
Huh?
I'm 31 today.
Today is your birthday.
It
okay,
is,
I
yes,
didn't
sir.
know that. So happy birthday to you.
Thank you, sir.
So my note said 21, so you are 31. So
Yes.
we'll make that official. So I appreciate you doing all this work. I'm not going to ask you many more questions, but these commissioners, they may ask you a few in just a moment. So we have item 4A, which is a new alcohol beverage license for Napier Fine Inc., DBA Fine Fair Grocery, located at 3741 Napier Avenue, Macon-Bibb County. As you can see, included in your calendar as well as your package that you received earlier, that the recommendation is legal for approval. They met all the qualifications necessary for this renewal of this license. So at this time, I'd entertain a motion for approval. Commissioner Jones got a motion. We'll get a second. Second by Commissioner Lucas, and question for Commissioner Watkins.
Hey, is the picture an accurate reflection of what it looks like?
Yes, sir.
Inside match the outside?
I have not been on the inside. Code Enforcement Officer Wolverton did not send me any pictures of the inside.
Okay. Just looks very scary.
Well, we got many of those. I appreciate that observation. So we do have a motion and second. Commissioner Wynn, you have a question?
Yeah, is this a new license or a redone or new owner, or what is it?
This
What
is a location that has had a previous license. However, this is a new entity coming in. So this is a new license for this business, but not for the location.
Okay, so the location has sold
Yes.
beer and wine before. Okay.
Yeah, this is a very old location and on Napier Avenue. It's been around for a while, as you can see by the picture.
Yeah, no kidding.
And it has a new owner or a new EC, and they've met all the qualifications necessary, and that's why it comes before you today. So we do have a motion and second. There's no further questions. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. The next 2 items on the agenda are also alcohol licenses, and both of these, the recommendation for legal will be to denial, but we'll take them one at a time. The first one is in item B, a new alcohol beverage license for Jefferson 22 LLC, Stop and Go, located at 1278 Jeffersonville Road, Macon, Georgia. The recommended action on this item is for denial, and the reason is the applicant submitted an updated business identification form indicating the business was a food mart. Based on the inspection by code enforcement, this establishment lacked the necessary variety of fresh foods and or vegetables and lacked the necessary fresh meat required to be considered a food mart. It's more readily classified as a vice mart. Therefore, the legal recommends denial of this motion. Would someone like to make that motion for approval of the denial, or is there any other conversation? Got a motion by Commissioner Bronson, second by Commissioner Lucas.
Mr. Mayor, if I may interject, I do
Okay.
apologize. This is a new entity opening. I am not aware if this specific location has had a licensed business in it before. However, it is not fully opened. When Officer Wolverton went in, he did an initial inspection. However, they were still setting up product. So if the recommendation is to the denial, however, the commission does have the option to table this application for further inspection and retake it at a later date as well. I just wanted to make sure all options were on the table.
Thank you. I appreciate that update. This has been before. We had code enforcement go out there, and we've been trying to track down make sure they meet the necessary needs. This location, I think, is directly across Old Macon National Monuments, right there in that area. We do have a motion and second, and for the denial, if there's no further conversation, all those in favor of the denial, please say aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you. That motion carries, and it will take the appropriate steps through our attorneys. Item C, 4C, is a new alcohol beverage license for PG Food 22 LLC, DBA Bloomfield Store, located at 4930 Bloomfield Road, Suite 200, Macon, Georgia. Same recommended action on this item is recommending denial based on the lack of raw meat to consider a food mark and should be classified as a vice mark.
That is correct, sir, and the same option to table. This is from the same applicant, and they are both getting set up to open.
Okay.
This is a new business. I believe it may have had a previous entity that had an alcohol license, but that entity is no longer in the store.
Okay. Do we have a motion to accept the denial? A motion by Commissioner Howell. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion regarding this item? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you. That motion carries and will be sent to legal for the appropriate letters. Going to move on to item 5A, which is a reappointment to authorities, boards, and committees. This is an ordinance to amend Chapter 2, Article 6, Division 13, Sections 2-842 and 2-843, the code after the membership structure, to alter the membership structure of the Public Art Board, to terminate the current membership of the Public Art Board, to appoint members to the new Public Art Board. That is sponsored by Commissioner Virgil Watkins and is requested by the Director of Art Alliance, Ms. Julie Wilkerson. Commissioner Watkins, would you like to make any more comments or make that recommendation today?
So right now we have a public art board that has approximately like 7 to 12 members. Majority of those members were made up of employees of the county, the public works director, engineering. The goal of the public art board is to increase the amount of paint and art in our public spaces. And you've been seeing that from the statues around town to various paint that's going on the streets and sidewalks for traffic calming. And their idea is to expand and find more places. They want to streamline it to a 3-member board and having the county employees act as ex officio members. They've had a problem with quorums because of the large number, and surprisingly, our county employees can be the problem sometimes. So making them ex officio, they'll still be available for the technical assistance and support, but just the 3 community members would be the actual acting voting members. And primarily, their job is not to regulate the art, but make sure that it's something that's not lewd or, I guess, too distasteful when they're approving it for our spaces.
Thank you, Mr. Watkins. It's also,
I guess I can tell the 3 members. It's also Tanner Coleman, Aaron Hawkins, and Tierra Ponce would be the 3 actual members of the board, all folks in the art world.
Thank you, Commissioner Watkins. We have a second. Second by Commissioner Bronson. It is challenging sometimes to get quorums, and this has been an issue lately. In defense of the workers, they have a full-time job.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
a lot of times we
definitely.
ask them to serve on boards, and it's during their work day, and we've been keeping them pretty busy for the last year. So I think this is an appropriate measure here. We also, this is an advisory. They don't actually do any significant work that's going to require expenditure of funds or anything. They'll bring any recommendations back to this body of work for making any changes. So we do have a motion and second. There's no further questions or discussion. We'll take a vote. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries unanimously, be sent to consent agenda. Going to move on to the next item, which is item 6A. This is a resolution authorizing the mayor to authorize the issuance of purchase order to Pro ITS LLC for the purchase and installation of equipment to properly equip 7 sheriff vehicles in an amount of $171,807.44 to be paid from the SPLOST 2018 Fund Public Safety Sheriff Vehicles, Machinery, and Equipment. Can we get a motion to approve? Motion by Commissioner Bronson. We have a second. Commissioner Wilder. Sorry if I didn't hear that one correct. Any questions regarding this item? This is a standard practice that we do for all of our police cars, and this is the point that we come to time to fund it. Seeing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Item B is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an amendment to the Master Solar Energy Procurement Agreement with Cherry Street Capital Fund, LLC, for the construction of new solar rooftop projects. North Macon Park, Rosa Jackson Recreation Center, Frank Johnson, Dolores Brooks, to provide for solar panel at no additional cost to Macon-Bibb County, to allow for other governmental entities to utilize the terms of this agreement. That's my motion. Can I get a second? Second by Commissioner Bronson. Commissioner Bronson, do you have a question?
Could I be added as a co-sponsor for this as well?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. We do have a motion and second. This is just continuing our efforts to be green and also to be more efficient with our utilities. We will come back to you from time to time if other projects come on board, but these are the ones that we have right now. So we do have a motion and second. If there's no further discussion on the matter, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Item 7A is a first appropriation. This is an appropriation for an ordinance to authorize the appropriation of up to $100,000 in American Rescue Plan Act funds for the purpose of providing funding for the Macon Mental Health Program. I will let you know that these funds are coming from the initial. We had $800,000 we did for the vaccinations. We spent approximately $610,000 for those vaccinations, which about 1,200 of our employees, or almost 70%, got vaccinated, leaving a remaining balance out of that $800,000 of approximately $190,000. So the $100,000 used to continue this program until we bring back another proposal at a later time would be used from this particular fund. So this time I'd entertain a motion for approval. Motion by Commissioner Bronson. Can we get a second? Second by Commissioner Wynn. Commissioner Lucas, you have a question?
I just want to say I certainly support this. I was impressed with the report and all the information about how they're reaching folks that need to be reached in the community. Some places where there's not been as much effort in the past to reach everybody. So I'm impressed with it, and I had a concern about the continuity of the services, where they were going to get additional funding if we were going to continue. I knew we weren't going to be able to continue, but I was glad to hear that there are other sources of funding that they are getting and that these programs will continue. So I certainly support this.
Thank you, Commissioner Lucas. We do look forward to bringing back some new funding and a proposal for this. We want to make sure that we have some continuous process. We're just looking for other possibilities to match funds and to do leverage, and we're asking our foundations as well as some grant possibilities out there that we haven't got lined up yet, but certainly don't want that contract to end without funding it, and we'll be bringing another proposal to you in the next couple of months. So any other questions regarding this appropriation? Seeing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries unanimously to be sent to consent agenda. Item B is an ordinance to authorize a supplemental appropriation from the general fund balance to capital improvements fund in the total amount of $315,500 for the repair, damaged fire stations, and replacement of damaged fire equipment, and to amend the organizational chart to add an assistant fire chief. Before we get a motion and second on that one, we'll hear from our attorney, and then we'll hear from the fire chief.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Adriana again. This ordinance is to authorize funds to repair some damage to Fire Station 7 and Fire Station 12 that were damaged in vehicle incidents, and then to replace certain equipment lost in the fire on Engine 108.
Thank you very much. And if we could ask the chief to move forward to explain this add additional fire chief and the support of that.
All right, thank you. Good morning again. We promoted our assistant fire chief, Rico Stevens, last week or two ago, and the next day he and I sat down and put together a strategic plan of the Macon-Bibb County Fire Department, where we wanted to take our department and see it move forward in the future. And during that strategic plan meeting that we had a discussion about adding an additional assistant chief / deputy chief to our org chart. This position is a position that's very much needed for a department that's our size. We did some history and research and saw that departments our size, even smaller, have those two positions directly underneath the fire chief. Basically what happens is the assistant fire chief, Rico Stevens, is handling our daily operations, our suppression personnel, which now with the new org chart that we have, We added 3 battalion chiefs, which makes now a total of 9 battalion chiefs that directly report to the assistant fire chief. There's other divisions on the administrative side of the fire department, which is fire training, fire prevention, community risk reduction, fire investigations. We've talked about having emergency vehicle fleet technicians added to our org chart for vehicle maintenance. So what I'm looking for is a deputy chief that will oversee those operations on the administration side of the Macon-Bibb County Fire Department. So I'm respectfully asking for the approval to add that position.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions for Chief Edwards? Commissioner Jones?
Just one, Chief, on the vehicles that were damaged, how were they damaged? Just curious.
So the vehicle that we're looking to replace equipment for was in December of 2020. That was engine 108 that caught on fire on 475. So that number that's on there at about $90,000 is for the equipment to replace the equipment that was on that engine that was lost, from fire hose to extrication equipment to an automated external defibrillator, things like that. The fire station number 12, unfortunately on January 2nd, 2022, that was when a vehicle was being chased by Bibb County Sheriff's Office about 3 o'clock in the morning. The vehicle was traveling at a high rate of speed, crashed into the side of fire station number 12 while our firefighters were inside the fire station. Thankfully, nobody was injured on the fire department side. Unfortunately, for the victims that were in the car actually caught on fire inside the fire station. The teenage occupants were trapped in the vehicle. Our firefighters went, to work immediately, extricating them, extinguishing the fire. At the same time, there was a moderate damage done to that fire station during that incident. It's still, if you ride by there today, it still has a blue tarp on the side of the station where the vehicle crashed through it. This has been a long project. This station was built in 1972. We were already in need of upgrading some of these stations with some renovations. So on top of having the repairs necessary to get the station back in working order, we're requesting to make some additional upgrades to that fire station. So that's where that's coming from. Also, Station 7 is a roof leak that's been going on for quite a while. However, a few weeks ago, not the last tornado that we had, but a few weeks before that, we had a severe windstorm that went through Bibb County. And when that windstorm went through on a Saturday, the roof at fire station number 9 on Shirling actually lifted off of that station, similar to what happened to Station 12 years ago. And during that, we had to make a expedient repair on Station 9 on Shirling Drive because the whole side of the station's roof had peeled up. So we had used some funds that we had in our general fund to make that repair immediately, which took Station 7's roof repair and kind of put it on the back because it wasn't as dire need of an emergency. But we're in a position that we need that roof repair made for Station 7 now. The rains that we've had the last few weeks, we've got water coming in through the ceilings. It's getting into the light fixtures. Our emergency alert system, our radios, fire radio and emergency alert stopped working actually last week during our storms. So we're in need to shift some money over there so we can go ahead and make that repair.
Going back to Station 12, any insurance claims or proceeds there?
That's a stolen vehicle.
Pardon me?
It's a stolen vehicle. There's not any insurance claims there.
Talking about to the station, not to the stolen vehicle.
You talking about the one that was damaged in the
So we've been
building?
working with Ms. Karen Pennicuff, who's handling the insurance side.
Okay.
You talking about the fire or you talking about the
I'm
automobile?
referring to the station, not the stolen vehicle or the people inside. I'm
Oh,
referring
okay.
to the
You're talking about
station itself.
Okay. Yeah.
Station itself, Dr. Miles was saying we're self-insured.
We are.
But the station itself has the insurance. Well, we've been working with Karen Pennicuff on the side of the risk management side of getting those repairs.
Thank you, Chief. Commissioner Wynn?
Commissioner Jones asked my question about liability insurance. You wouldn't know they'd get out of it,
Any other questions? Here are no questions. We do need a motion on this. Can we get a motion to approve? Motion by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Bronson. Any further questions? I hear everything? I can't hear over here. Somebody talking. They're louder on that side over here. All right. We have a motion and second. There's no further discussion. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries. One secret you may want to know, if you sign on as a co-sponsor early on, I usually ask for you to be the motion, so just letting you know. Item 8A is a grant acceptance. This is a resolution authorizing the acceptance of Criminal Justice Coordinating Council Violence Against Women Act grant in the amount of $50,000 with no local match required to the Office of Solicitor General. As my motion, can I get a second? Who was that? Second, Commissioner Wynn. We have a motion and second. This is a no-match grant, so don't anticipate any issues, but any questions? Seeing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Item 9A is a unregistered road. A, resolution to authorize the acceptance of registration of a unregistered paved road in Birchwood Plantation subdivision for public use as part of the county road system. As my motion, can I get a second? Second by Commissioner Jones. There's some hesitancy on getting a second there, so if you have any questions, we'll let our attorney go ahead and tell them a little bit about this unregistered road. This is the typical process we always handle when we have a new road coming in, but if you can let them know a little bit more information about it.
Absolutely. I believe I heard Commissioner Wilder ask kind of the location of the road. It'll be up near Zebulon Road, I believe, just off of that. It'll be a single, this current portion of it is just a single roadway in a development that currently has roughly 21 houses in it. I am unsure of the extent of further development in that area, but what we're working with now is just the single roadway with the 21 houses.
And I think we have the diagram up there for further clarification on the screen. Any other questions concerning this item? Hearing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Okay, we're getting now to a point where we have a executive session. I do not believe there's a need to go into executive session today. You have anything, Attorney McNeil? No. Okay. Attorney Groover has nothing today, so we have no need to go into executive session. We do have lunch prepared for each of you guys, so you hang around for lunch. Otherwise, this meeting is hereby adjourned.